ci biir Gambia bi dawal foofu sa Quality Jasna your number one stop shop ana sama jigéen ñi dama bëgg ngeen jox ma seen nopp garme yi ndaxte Quality Jasna amal nañ leen ay til yu toj daala poos abaaya yu yiiw waaye it amal nañ leen ay boreda yu rafet boreda yoo xam ne pour góor ñi la ak pour jigéen ñi amal nañ leen body scrub yi nga xam ne nii dafay defar seen yaram bam nice waaye it fàttewuñ fa diw yi ana sama jeeg yu pare yi Quality Jasna amal nañ leen fa andi cuuraay yu neex house spray ak bépp xeetu baax pour seen biir néeg dama ne atum ren jii ku sa jëkkër mere ku ne yow la neex ndaxte Quality Jasna ñëw na si dëkk bi pour defar sëy yi make-up artist yi bàyyi leen gannaaw ñu ngi leen fa amal ay make-up product yu quality waxu leen léegi nii foofu sa Westfield jàkkaarloog monument bi wala nga jokkoo Quality Jasna si 250 0124 ak Quality Jasna taaral sa bopp taaral sa néeg waaye it dëggal sa alaaji aas.
Our host, His Excellency the President of the Republic, to give the opening remarks. Your Excellency.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that very important opening remarks. Your Excellency, the Vice President, former Vice Presidents present, Honorable Cabinet Ministers, Honorable National Assembly members, leaders and representatives of political parties, representatives of institutions and organizations, fellow Gambians, and friends of the Gambia. I think I stand to be corrected because we have many experienced politicians in this House. But I think this is the first time in the history of our country where such a very formal meeting between all political parties is happening. Maybe I stand to be corrected. I personally welcome you to the first of a series of national consultative dialogue forums organized to precede the formal launch of the National Dialogue Day initiative. I established a National Dialogue Preparatory Committee comprising representatives from a cross-section of institutions and organizations in the country to coordinate the activities leading to a national dialogue forum. A key objective for this consultative meeting is to build consensus on holding and institutionalizing a National Dialogue Day, as recommended at the fourth public forum held last year as part of the 58th Independence Day anniversary celebrations. As we look forward to celebrating the 59th anniversary of nationhood shortly, I have directed the committee to work on this National Consultative Forum to encourage and stimulate reflection and dialogue on selected national issues to promote, protect, and nurture peace and stability in our democracy. You may have realized that I have continually called upon my colleagues and fellow Gambians to come together and work in the best interests of the country. we dearly love. It is every citizen's responsibility to contribute towards our overall security, peace, and stability, be it in an official or private capacity, as public servants or bona fide citizens. My government holds the view that we should always try to forge national consensus on national issues that generate divergent views. Such divergence must not result in enmity or disunity. Instead, it should be tapped into as a source of strength for us to tolerate, appreciate, and empathize with one another. In this way, all citizens would have the opportunity to contribute to sustaining peace and stability nationwide. Fellow Gambians and colleagues, it is absolutely necessary for us to come to terms with our collective responsibility to work together in the interest of our dear motherland and her people. This is the reason for strengthening our institutions, enforcing the laws of the land, and developing policies to guide our relationships. We are a decent people and a nation bound by destiny to live and work together. It must not surprise anyone, therefore, that the theme for this year's Independence Day's anniversary celebration is a call for us to respond to our collective responsibility of preserving the nation, of positively translating this broad theme into action. As leaders and public opinion influencers, we have a big stake in the nation. Thus, we also have the huge responsibility of striving to maintain peace and stability. Huge as it may be, we can achieve this by consciously avoiding and diffusing political or social tension through our public engagements with the people. Within both the public and private space, we occupy quite frequently. Moving forward, I call on all citizens who can do so to actively participate in the upcoming national dialogue with a view to reinforcing the social cohesion and tolerance that exists in our society. The thematic discussions are proposed to cover the political environment, religious tolerance, ethnic diversity, sovereignty, security, safeguarding the media and democratic space, irregular migration, and empowerment of our youth. Excellencies, honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, considering the important thematic areas identified for discussion ahead of the public forum for national dialogue, I must emphasize that it is our collective responsibility to preserve the nation as a people or fall together, safeguard the state or face instability, and secure our resources or live with a weak economy. We live in a world of uncertainty, instability, and insecurity. So we must act collectively and resolutely ahead of any potential unrest or calamity. We are blessed in the Gambia with positive social norms and values that can always bring us together and help us to preserve our warmth and brand as the smiling coast of Africa. With these remarks, I invite you all to objectively reflect on the theme and sincerely share your thoughts to enrich the discussions and positively influence the outcome of the deliberations. I thank you for your kind attention.
alluded by the moderator, people ask, why now? And he asks, why not now? Then I add, it's better late than never. The moderator rightly alluded, facing with the current realities, both national and sub-regional, there is a need for this dialogue. And really, that is the situation. If we should say, why now? It could not have a better time, come at a better time than now. We are aiming to have the Gambia that we can all yearn and live proudly as Gambians. This was the anticipation in 2016. We are still yearning and standing by that to see that dream we had in 2016 is realized. Your Excellency, to have peaceful country that key stakeholders, the politicians, our religious leaders, of course, in general, the citizenry are very important. In this process, all efforts must be done to ensure all are represented. I understand today is the launching where we are reflecting on the team. And also we'll have another day where we'll have broad participation, about 500 members. I would say we should not limit to that. We should go beyond that. Let it be a form of national consultation. When we have the National Preparatory Committee, I would not know whether the institution that represents the political parties is part of this committee. If not, it can be included. Then we task this committee to do thorough national consultation, region by region. We should not limit to only the gathering that we'll have on the 16th. It should go beyond that, so that all voices and all concerns are heard. Your Excellency, our cultural norms and values, the Gambia, we are always promoted that we are among the best in terms of culture and values. Upholding this, that should be an utmost concern. Many a time, it is our young folks, and I believe the way things are going, we need to put our cultural norms and values to the knowledge of our young people. Honorable, Your Excellency, if you go to our communities, usually we tend to get disputes here and there as a result of land management. We have in place what is called Land Commission. I'm not sure whether the Land Commission is functioning. If not, or if so, it is not as expected. If we want to do away with violence in our communities, the issue of the land, the policy around the land should be looked into. Your Excellency, a hungry man is an angry man. Nowadays, people are hungry. And people, if they are hungry, they'll be angry. Food self-sufficiency, how that can be addressed, should be an utmost responsibility and concern. It is not only about management, but also about generation. How do we maximize our production base? That is what we can look into when our people are hungry and they become angry, to silence them down. Your Excellency, Anti-Corruption Act is in place. We should have the political will and commitment in fighting against corruption. The Anti-Corruption Commission should be enforced and should not also come to be like the Land Commission. The sovereignty of the Gambia should not and must not be compromised. There must be discipline in our institutions, and as civil servants, we should adhere to disciplinary rules. We should be committed to our work. I welcome the creation of the new ministry. I was thinking that when it comes, that aspect of indiscipline in our civil society will be addressed. But I'm yet to see any meaningful move towards that. And finally, action speaks louder than voice. We are here with launch for a commitment of what we call national dialogue to have peace and stability in this country. If we do this work, at the end we'll have reports, resolutions. More importantly, the implementation of the outcome of this engagement. Your Excellency, people will say, we have commissions, and the commission will have reports, but implementation of these reports are usually the problem. Will this the dialogue also will not follow the same pattern? Political tolerance above everything. You are the sitting president. Those who are unfortunate and their parties, they are the opposition. Our role is to serve as watchdogs. Criticize your programs, your policies. Whether you will see that to be constructive or otherwise, we may differ, but that's our role. Your position is not to be having any ill feeling against anyone, against such criticisms, but to defend your policies and your programs. Don't see any opposition as your enemy, but rather your opponents, but rather the same brothers and sisters. When I say this, I conclude. I did send a political message to my president. And I'm not sure whether he had that message. If I've been given this opportunity, I want to recollect that message. If you are on state functions, take consideration what appears to be state functions, state issues are addressed. We leave aside the political issues. And I want to recollect that. I feel very troubled when I see my brother making very uncomfortable statements against my father, who is his father. I feel very comfortable. I feel very comfortable if I see my father criticizing and my brother defending his program. I feel very comfortable, but very uncomfortable if it should be the otherwise. I'm appealing. The sonly and the fatherly relationship should exist for peaceful coexistence between the two leadership. I thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Your Excellency, cabinet ministers, leader of various political parties, delegates from various parties, distinguished invited guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, maa ngi laa gërëm di la sant. Bés bu mel ni bés bi waroon naa gaaw a am. Boo leen gisee ma jóg di wax ci olof, nañ leen sóoraale ñi nekk suñ gannaaw. Bési tey jii bés la. Foo gis tey safara am ci dëkk ñun political leaders yi ñoo koy taal. Bon nag nañ leen ñu sóoraale ne amuñ fenn réew mi lañ am. Nañ leen ñuy ñeme pour toog pour waxtaan. Ñaaka déggoo amul, ñaaka waxtaan moo dee am. Te fu ñaaka waxtaan amee rek musiba dina am. Bon yaakaar naa ne Afrika dafa jooy ba sonna fi mu nekk. Buñ leen amalantewut yërmande dëkk bi du dem kanam. Ndaxte tey nguur benn nit mënu koo yóbbu. Ñun ñoo mun a yóbbu suñ réew. Lu tax yàlla deful loxo bi mu am benn baaraam rek waaye daf si def juróomi baaraam. Ndaxte benn baaraam bi du mun dara moom kenn. ñaar boo ko boolee moo daaxa benn bi. ñetta mu gën a baax ñeneen ba juróom. Bon suñu réew mi nañ leen ñu jàppalante nañ leen ñu takka suñ digga yi. Your Excellency, boo xoolee dëkk bi bu baax tey reyante gi bari na si dëkk bi. ñu ngi mel ni ñun xamanteetuñ. sumay mbokk kañ la Gambia la dem ba ñuy war a ragal. am na jamono bunti kër yi dañoo ubbeeku ba burset. tey mënatuloo xàmmee kanay kan. bu loolu amee ñu war a toog waxtaan ku ci nekkaa ngee daw responsibility. li ñoo wax mooy président Adama Barrow ak nguuram. ñan ñoo fal président Adama Barrow. kañ la Gambia la dem ba xàmmee wante tuñ. ba moo miiti ñun ñëpp la woon de te ñun ñëpp a takkoon suñ digga yi pour yóbbu Gambia si kanam. Bon nañ leen ñu delloo siwaat suñ xel ci gannaaw. nañ leen ñu ubbi suñ bët ñu bàyyalante xel. suñ réew mi nañ leen ko jàpp ak ñaari loxo te añaan ci. suñ alal la ñoo ko moom. gan yaa ngee dugga ci suñu réew mi kenn mënatut a xam kanay kan. musiba gaa ngi bari. bu njëkk dañoo am séedoo jamono ji tey ku am renka ko ci sa faar yi doo xalaat keneen. te li yóbbu loolu rek mooy nañ leen ñu bokk ñu waxtaan. Your Excellency njaboot gi yaa leen moom. tey yow la yàlla jox réew mi. mu neex la mu naxari la foo jaar di nga yaate oyof te am yërmande. waaye nag yërmande yi dafa am fu mu am. Your Excellency réew bu ñu ko dënkee dafa am yërmande fu moo am. boo ci bëggee ëpp yërmande di nga fel sa responsibility. te itam Gambian si ñun ñëpp dañ am responsibility. mooy let us be our brothers and sisters keeper. réew mi li fee dox tey du yoon du dëgg. nañ leen ñu yërëmante. bagaas yi ser na. tey ko ci gis boo ko joxee place mu ngeen ne kii suma raka la kii suma mag la ñoom lay jox place bi duñ ko jox ñi ko yoloo. réew mi ku ci nekk danga ci war a gis sa boppa ndaxte ñun ñëpp Gambien lañ. nañ leen ñu bàyyi kii suma mag la kii suma xarit la te it ku def lu bon nañ ko yóbbu ci yoon aate ko ci dëgga bu leen jël dëgga gi di ko dëggaat barka démb rek Mariama Kunda I am a living witness to it am na moto boo xam ne dafa génn ci tali gi ni moo dawee mu tampon waa ji kooku dafa dee ci saas bim deyee maa ngi taxaw di xool de nit ñi fa taxaw li ñu wax driver bi mooy du yow yaa ko rey jëlal liw bi dugal ci sa moto yóbbu ko lopitaan kooku def li ko gaa ñi wax de biñ paree ku ci nekk xool sa morom ne ah kan moo jël nomba driver bi ndax am ngeen nomba moto bi yes driver boobu mun naa jël néew bi dem ba ci meere mi teg ko fa mbaate mu dem ba ci lopitaan bi ne maa ngi tudda Moodu fekk Ibrahima la tudda soo foofu police case amu fa bon ban dëkka la ñoo oote ne suñ dëkka la su may mbokk lii du affaire yi politique te politics du affaire yi diine te du affaire yi tarixa nañ leen ñu jàppalante liñ ñu am tey kenn du ko yóbbu suba mbuba bu mujjee bi amul poos kenn du yóbbu dara bon liñ fi am mooy réew mi nañ leen liggéey réew mi suñ xale yaa ngee xool suñ xale yaa ngee jàngee ci ñun ni ñoo lalee suñ lali moom lañ faa tëddee de bon réew mi kenn duñu ko béyal nañ leen béy suñ waar gërëm naa leen sant naa leen Your Excellency maa ngi lay ñaanal fan ak wér li nga def tey nii la njiit di war a doxalee réew bon yal na la yàlla jàppale yal na yàlla jàppale Gambia jërëjëf.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency the President, Your Excellency the Vice President, former Vice President, all very important sovereign citizens here present. It is a presumption that states' stability, national stability, rest on collective responsibility. And without the exercise of that collective responsibility, the security of national resources would not be ensured, and development would be the casualty. The presumption has become a truism because of the presence of all these very important personalities here. But that collective responsibility must be contextualized. It is the role of a government to serve the people. It is the role of the opposition to aim to serve the people. And that opposition may be different from the government in form or content. So there is nothing wrong in having an opposition. They have different roles. But essentially the discourse here is not to transform a dialogue into a partisan mechanism for discourse with the people. So if this discourse is to be properly situated, we must all put partisan hats aside and look at the nation and deal with issues in such a way that the sitting government or any other government will deem those issues to be pertinent to the development of our country and the stability of the state. In that regard, we must bear in mind that stability of nations, stability of the state, use of resources must rest on 4 pillars. The first pillar is culture. Not our general culture, but the national culture. We have to develop, we have to have an educational system. There must be institutions of socialization. We must train the people who are to serve as service deliverers, the nurses, the teachers, the technicians of all sectors of society. And if we look at our civil service, these are the people who will constitute that service sector. We must train them. We must nurture them. We must nurture sovereign citizens so that we become one, independent of our sex, independent of our religion, independent of our ethno-linguistic groups. We must become Gambians. But to do that, we must train them. That is why the educational system must be interrogated. Are we really training sovereign Gambians? Are we really nurturing sovereign Gambians who love country and people? That is the trajectory. And those people are the people who would be the builders of the nation that we hope to develop. Number two, it is essential to have that social pillar. Honorable members here, Your Excellency the President, we all know that the issue of life expectancy is important. Look at the number of people who are passing away. How do we increase the longevity of their lives? We look at child mortality, maternal mortality, and it is important to improve the quality of our data because many people in our society have this privacy and respect for the dead that many will bury without informing the state. So how can we ensure that everybody who passes away would be recorded so that we have really improved data and know the causes of death so that we'll know how to really prevent many of the deaths? That is important. The issue of poverty. If we say half the population are living in abject, how do we address those issues? That is important. But we must have the data and then look for ways and means of addressing the issues of poverty. The next element is the economy. That economic foundation, all of us must bear in mind that there are imbalances between import and exports, imbalances between revenue and expenditure. We must take note of this. What is responsible for that? We look at remittances, they are in fact more than even our earnings from imports. So we must look at all this, and we must look at all these correlations in order to find out why are we not able to build an economy which will move away merely from taxation in rendering services to be able to build a productive base to be able to address all the concerns. These are issues, national issues we should address. Not only that, it is important for us to bear in mind that the social issues are very significant. But we must move to the political issue, my last consideration. Because that is the state that we have to conserve. And we all know that overstay in office, unconstitutional takeover of office, have also been a disease in our sub-region and causing a menace. So we should sit down and look at these two issues: unconstitutional overstay in office, unconstitutional assumption of office. How do we save the Gambia from such a reality? How can we debate on our constitution, which we should now put to the fore, because it helps us to build a polity that we own? And we can all discuss this in order to shape a future that we own. So my take here is that this is the beginning of a very important exercise. The beginning of a conversation among a people to determine the destiny of a country that we own. Inclusiveness is necessary at this stage. And inviting all of us here is starting that process of a national conversation to determine whether you are in office or outside of office, what is your role in helping to build a stable state, a stable country, the harnessing of resources in order for all of us to benefit. I don't know how much time I have, but I would like to put this across, that we are talking about management of resources. But the real issue is generation of resources and allocation of resources. In my home, every morning, women will come from all over the Combos and descend on my street. And they are selling without urinals, without water, under the hot sun. Every single day, I cannot even get out of my camper. So, what is the relation between central and local government? Is the structure that we have in resource allocation really the appropriate one? How do we ensure a balanced and proportional allocation of the resources of the land? Don't we need to change our budgeting system so that whatever is at the local level will be budgeted for at the national level, and we allocate resources on that basis? Could we continue to maintain this type of local government structure? Is it sustainable? These are issues we need to look at. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Salah.
President and Vice President, party leaders, members of cabinet colleagues, parliamentarians, members of political parties, members of the press, and all those here present, including the Chief of Staff, the Director of Press, Director of Protocol, Security, and all other protocol respectfully observed. Mr. President, I want to remind this gathering that this is not the Lancaster House talks that was led by politicians to work for the independence of the Gambia. These are talks that are meant for us to discuss and chart the way forward to better our democracy and to see how we can improve on the livelihood of the Gambian people. And we must also appreciate it is a very difficult task. Political dialogue is not easy anywhere in the world. I have witnessed it. I'm one of those who led the ECOWAS parliamentarians and ECOWAS commission members to the political dialogue in Lome. And we've witnessed the political dialogue in Nairobi that led to the new constitution. We've seen what happened in Senegal from the 80s, from the Abdou Diouf to the Wadas, how they worked on their electoral process through political dialogue. We've seen political dialogue in many parts of Africa and many parts of the world. If anybody thinks that this journey is an easy journey, you are making a mistake. In a political dialogue, we must give and take. We must accept the reality that there is a need to address the issues that divide us, to address the issues that make differences in the way we live and the way we work for the betterment of our country. So it is not an easy journey. Let's all be prepared for that journey. And therefore, on that note, before I proceed, I must congratulate the President of the Republic for accepting a political dialogue to better our polity in the country. I congratulate you, Mr. President, for that visionary idea and for taking up the bull by the horn to call on all political parties to come and sit down and discuss and chart the way forward. On that note, Mr. President, in a gathering like this, I always feel nostalgic. When I see my colleagues sitting down next to me and I fail to see the likes of Omar Jallo, Mr. Femi Peters, Lamin Diba and others, I remembered in 2016 when we all used to sit together, discuss the issues of this country that led us to where we are today. I feel that they deserve prayers for all of us, that they have parted, they've gone, they've played their role. I please would request, if permitted, that before we leave this gathering, that we pray for those people and others that I have not named who have been with us, and today they have gone and they sacrificed all their life and did everything they could to participate in their country. Mr. President, just to summarize, since I don't have enough time to deliberate on these issues, I think the first role that we need to do in every parliamentary democracy, looking at how we harmonize our issues, we must look at the Gambian context. Today, I believe that at the end of this program, the management of state resources should be a key pillar in the discussion of these things. How do we discuss the issue of the management, physical management of state resources, and how do we manage and discuss the issue of land management and land usage in the Gambia? We must accept that the issue of land is becoming a threatening national security issue that needs to be discussed by everybody, so that at the end of the day, the government of the Gambia would do what its people want them to do. The issue of land cannot be brushed aside whilst we are sitting here. The issue of religious coexistence must be an issue that we have to address. We cannot allow few people picking up microphones, insulting and abusing others because they have an opportunity to speak. We must copy what happened in other countries, where people are licensed to speak, where you cannot just pick up a microphone and preach and insult others. The religious coexistence that we have enjoyed in this country, we cannot allow few people to destroy it. I remind you, when Pope John Paul came to this country, when he looked back at the central mosque he saw when he was at the St. Augustine, he asked, what is that? They told him it was a church. He said, I have never seen a central church, such a religious country, opposite a grand mosque. And that he praised the Gambia for being very religious. We cannot destroy that. We need to keep that. Just to us up, we must also have a level playing field in the polity. We must discuss the electoral process. We must make sure that everybody participate in the process and feel that you have been fairly treated, and where we need to amend laws, we have to amend laws to make sure the system is free and fair for everybody. So at the end of the day, when results are declared, we are obliged to accept the results. And that is important for us. And the other one, the educational system, we have to look at it. We must have an educational system that will cater for our youth and for our young. We must address the issue of backway not by talking, by looking at the causes of it. We need to create people with knowledge and skills that they can have hope in our society and stay in their country to deliver. Or wherever we export their skills, it will yield us benefit, and not to see our people dying at sea. We must also, in our political debate, be responsible the way we talk, be responsible the way we attack, be responsible the way we send our views. You cannot use social media, be abusing and insulting people and thinking that you are doing politics. You are doing no good to your country, but doing harm to your country. Everybody has a view to express. Everybody has a view to express, but it's in the manner that you are expressing this view. And in doing so, we must protect our women. We must make sure our women are protected during our debates. We cannot afford to be abusing them, calling them all sorts of names. With whatever they do, it's something that they have done with men. We must open up the political space not by word of mouth, by making sure that our women feel comfortable, not being intimidated and abused when they participate in politics. One again, just before I give you the floor, we must make sure security and stability is key in our governance system. We must make sure that we create peace in the country. When we went to Guinea-Conakry, just to give you an example, as soon as we landed in the country, I told the president it seems that something is wrong in this country. Because since we left the airport, I've seen nobody rising and supporting this president. And all of a sudden, we saw there was a coup. And what happened? The foreign minister told me, he's been telling the opposition, don't encourage instability. When instability comes, you all become victims. Today, all of them are in exile. All of those who are instigating instability are in exile. Let's keep our democracy. We thank our armies. We thank the Gambian army and the African armies. They've done well to liberate Africa. They are good in changing government, but they are very bad in managing countries. We want them to stay away from our politics and our governance. We want them to stay our way. Parliamentarians are responsible of distributing and allocating national resources. It is not the President of the Republic alone. And you cannot also be talking about high cost of goods and blame the government of the Gambia for that. We are not in control of the production prices overseas. When we order the product, it's not produced in the Gambia. President Barrow cannot dictate the cost of those goods. Few months ago, a ton of rice was $400 in the international market. Today is $500 plus. The long grain rice, which was $500 today, is $700. How can President Barrow determine the price of that rice when he is not producing the rice? The solution of this country, let's go back and produce for what we eat and grow what we eat. And stop blaming the government. Stop blaming this government for price rise. That is cheap politics. Let's avoid that. Let's understand where the truth lies, and we speak the truth and we work together. So that when we leave this hall, when we finish these discussions, we could come out with a document that would amend our laws, come out with a document where everybody will respect each other, and we move the interest and the advancement of the Gambia forward. Thank you.
Can we have your notes?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين. Good morning, colleagues, brothers and sisters. Good morning, Your Excellency. First of all, I want to thank His Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Gambia, and all the organizing members of this national dialogue. This is a dream come true for me. My name is Honorable Mama Kande, Secretary General and Party Leader of the Gambia Democratic Congress. Your Excellency, I'm very proud and happy today. Look at these people here. Our brothers, our sisters. This is the Gambia. This is the Gambia that we want to see. This is the Gambia that we want our future leaders of this country to emulate from. I believe it is made very clear that when it is an issue of national interest, everyone here will have the time to contribute his or her quota towards national development. We are here one people. There can be no hatred between us here. There can be no war between us here. Gambia needs to set an example in Africa. The size of our country does not matter here. Democracy does not belong to any nation or individual. We all can have our democracy in a way that suits our people. And today, Mr. President, I'm very proud of you, and I thank you for taking this initiative and bringing Gambians together. It has been I have been calling for this for years, passionately. None of us here want to see this country in fire. We all want to lead this country, but to lead a better Gambia. And I believe this is just the beginning, Mr. President. I have been talking about this, and I would not want you to stop here. Let this be a continuous process, and to make sure that the whole world will learn from us. We have seen what is happening in Africa. There are a variety of issues that need to be discussed. There are a lot of challenges in this country that need to be discussed. So I believe it is just not possible to have it within 3 or 5 minutes. But this is just the beginning. Let's create more room for ourselves as a nation, bring our ideas together to move this country forward. There are a lot of challenges in this country. A lot of challenges, so we will not have time to discuss all this. But I can say that this is the beginning and the doors are open, and I believe it is not going to stop here. I even went to a level to propose to you, Mr. President, that on your Meet the People's tour is a constitutional mandate, is a requirement. Invite all political party leaders. It is not a political tour. Invite all political party leaders. Let us be there together, and the whole world will see that we are one people. In this way, we will do away with the politics of hatred, politics of tribalism, politics of religion. The moderator have said it here, that we are losing what the Gambia is known for was the peace and stability and the smiling coast of West Africa. Why are we losing that? Why is it that no Gambian is safe at the moment? People are killed left, right, and center. This is not our culture. I believe all of us together we can make a change for better Gambia. We have to protect our women, our children, and our sovereignty as a nation. So, on this note, I don't want to take your time. I hope that there will be a time created for all of us where we can bring in more ideas, put our hands on deck together to move this country forward. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kande. Now we welcome Honorable Henry Gomez from GPDP.
ku yoddu sa xët te Quality Jasna ñoo yor seen cumbukaay tur day uyu borom Jasna pire soo ko bëggee fii si biir Gambia bi dawal foofu sa Quality Jasna your number one stop shop. Ana sama jigéen ñi dama bëgg ngeen jox ma seen nopp garme yi ndaxte Quality Jasna amal nañ leen ay til yu toj daala poos abaaya yu yiiw waaye amal nañ leen ay boreda yu rafet boreda yoo xam ne pour góor ñi la ak pour jigéen ñi amal nañ leen body scrub yi nga xam ne nii dafay defar seen yaram bam nice waaye fàttewuñ fa diw yi. Ana sama jeeg yu pare yi Quality Jasna amal nañ leen fa andi cuuraay yu neex house spray ak bépp xeetu baax pour seen biir néeg. Dama ne atum ren ji ku sa jëkkër mere ku ne yow la neex ndaxte Quality Jasna ñëw na si dëkk bi pour defar sëy yi. Makeup artist yi bàyyi ngeen gannaaw ñu ngi leen fa amal ay makeup product yu quality waxu leen léegi nii foofu sa Westfield jàkkaarloog monument bi wala nga jokkoo Quality Jasna si 250 01 24 ak Quality Jasna taaral sa bopp taaral sa néeg waaye dëggal sa alaaji aas.